The crypto industry has reached a milestone with President Trump signing what's called the Genius Act into law. It's the first to address the stablecoin industry, part of the president's plan to make the US the undisputed leader in digital assets. And that's something he emphasized after the signing.
This is really a big day. This afternoon, we take a giant step to cement American dominance of global finance and crypto technology as we sign the landmark Genius Act into law. So congratulations to everybody. This is a big deal. You've come a long way since the Biden administration, when they had no idea what you were all talking about, and half of you were under arrest for no reason whatsoever.
Which is somewhat ironic, since the president himself on several occasions has feigned ignorance, or at least expressed doubts about crypto. Jeremy Allaire, there he is, CEO of Circle, a company that specializes in stablecoin payments, was at the signing ceremony, joins me now from the White House North Lawn. It's good to see you, Jeremy. Thank you for taking the time. Just give me an idea of what this does. Stablecoins are, they are there, they are growing, they are trillions of dollars worth. So how does this act solidify, regulate, and make safer?
Yeah, look, stablecoins as a technology have been around for some time, and really the promise here is that we can take dollars, express them in a digital currency form, and make them work on the public internet in many of the same ways that we are able to use communications, media, information exchange, allowing for global, interoperable, and easy to use dollars. And I look at the Genius Act specifically as enshrining in law many of the things that we have held dear at Circle as we built USDC, which is the largest regulated stablecoin network in the world. And that's strong reserve requirements, supervision by banking regulators, strong audit and reporting requirements, anti-money laundering requirements, a lot of the things that are important to give businesses, to give households, to give financial institutions around the world the confidence to build on this dollar digital currency technology.
Would it not be easier if the Fed just created a digital currency? Now, look, I know there's been a huge amount of work done on this, and some central banks are highly in favor, other central banks don't believe they should. But at the end of the day, if there was a good, robust, official, if you will, digital dollar from the Fed, that solves the problem.
Well, what we've learned is that governments are not actually very good at innovating in technology. And in fact, every major payment system innovation, in the West at least, over the past really 75 years has been the result of private sector innovation. Everything that we can think of, from check clearing to ATMs to credit cards, debit cards, to innovations like Apple Pay to stablecoins. And what we need strong regulation. We need banking regulators that supervise the firms that do issue this electronic money. Just like today, 95% or more of electronic money in circulation is issued by the private sector. The payment systems are innovated by the private sector. I don't think there's any scenario where that happens and is built as a technology by the government, but good regulation over the private sector and allowing American technology exceptionalism to innovate is really what this bill represents. It's unleashing the free market to compete and to build and innovate.
But I'm pleased that you talk about the regulatory aspect of it, because obviously in the original days of the blockchain, and it was all about let's get as far away as possible from regulation, and because we don't want anybody looking. But stable coins are different. Stable coins, by name and definition, have to be stable, they have to be backed, they have to have, if you will, a rationale and raison d'etre, which means they've got to have a link. Now, if the underlying currency becomes dodgy or becomes devalued, if the dollar is weakened, which the president talked about today as being not likely or not wanting to see that, does that weaken the stable coins relying on it?
No, in fact, stable coins as a form of electronic money are actually safer than many forms of electronic money that we use today. They're fully reserved, and they're backed by things like short-term treasury bills. And that creates a very, very safe foundation that people can depend on and use. It creates demand around the world for people who want to hold a safe store of value and an incredibly efficient medium of exchange. We're giving the superpowers of the internet $2 through this technology. And so I think part of the goal of I think this legislation is actually expanding the competitiveness of the dollar in the age of the internet. And I think that's a major component of how the dollar continues to compete and thrive as we move into a more deeply digital environment.
Jeremy, we'll talk more about this. Fascinating. We need to understand more. Thank you, sir, for joining us, and I wish you a good weekend. Thank you, sir. Now.